Now, while the global agricultural food market has recovered from the adverse effects of the pandemic, new global and local megatrends are weighing on the sector. This according to the autumn 24 version of Absa AgriTrends report. Marlene Louw, senior economist at Absa AgriBusiness, joins us to discuss some of the key factors likely to shape the market for South African agricultural producers over the short to medium term. Thank you so much for your time, Marlene. Yes, of course, we recovered from the pandemic, but there are other macroeconomic challenges that we are dealing with. And of course, we saw what, for example, the war in Ukraine and Russia did to wheat, grains in general. And I wonder if at this point geopolitics is the biggest threat to the agricultural market.
Yes, thanks. Thanks for having me. So I think geopolitics is a big theme shaping markets at the moment. So especially for South Africa, trade is essential for our high-value export commodities. And there, I think politics in key markets such as the US presents some risks. Geopolitics in the Middle East is also impacting on the way we do business. So specifically disruptions in the Suez Canal is creating certain risks, but also opportunities for our exports to Europe and the Far and Middle East.
Well, actually talking about those risks, because we did have the South African Reserve Bank yesterday keeping interest rates unchanged, of course, saying that the risks to inflation remain to the upside. And our governor mentioned the El Nino condition. How are you expecting that to affect the agricultural market, and particularly in South Africa?
Yes. So heat and dryness during February and March have definitely played a huge part in the rally that we've seen in agricultural commodity prices in South Africa. And so the market is currently pricing in for white maize specifically that will need to import or rely on deep sea exports to supplement some of the regional demand. So according to the Crop Estimates Committee, we still foresee that there will be sufficient supply to service our local demand, but if we look more broadly at the region, imports might be needed, and therefore we're seeing prices that have breached 5,000 Rand a ton. This is likely to have inflationary effects, but we foresee that only playing out in the second half of the year. I think the story there is we're coming off a high base in the first quarter of 2023. And so the likely effect of the rally in prices will only become apparent in the latter part of the year.
Yeah, indeed. It seems that there is quite a lot of uncertainty when it comes to the path of food inflation at the moment. You mentioned the Suez Canal, and actually that there may be some opportunities that we could capitalize on there. Just talk to me about the kind of threats and opportunities that you are seeing for our agricultural exports on the back of the disruptions on the Suez Canal.
Yeah, so I think in terms of the opportunities, we always give it at the hand of an example. Egypt is becoming a very prominent player in the global citrus market. And we do foresee that reduced transits through Suez will affect volumes of citrus being shipped out of Egypt, both to the EU, but also to the Middle and Far East, which could present good prospects for our early citrus season in the EU, Far and Middle East. So that's good news. Then in terms of the risks, it's much broader than agriculture. I think there the risk is really around broad-based inflationary effects affecting the purchasing power of the consumers that finally need to purchase fruits and high-value crops from South Africa, and their fruit could face some downward pressure in prices if we see demand trending down.
Yeah. Well, actually, I mean, talking about our exports and the opportunities that does present, particularly for the citrus sector, of course, we cannot talk about exports in South Africa without talking about the logistical challenges that we have, and you've had quite a number of companies flagging that risk. Talk to me about, you know, the extension of that impact on our ability to be able to export to these countries and capitalize on these opportunities.
Yes, so most definitely our logistical system, specifically the ports, remains a concerning factor for our exporting industries. But what we have been seeing over the past season that makes us very positive is that the industries are quite agile in making plans to circumvent some of the bottlenecks that we have been seeing. So if you think of something like table grapes, volumes have been diverted, albeit at huge costs, to other ports if we saw bottlenecks at Cape Town Harbour. And I think that is inherently what makes us very positive about the agricultural industry in South Africa, is this ability to be agile and make plans.
Yeah. Well, actually, Marlene, as we wrap up the conversation, just talk to me about the general prospects for the South African agricultural sector, considering also that the contribution of the agriculture sector for that economic growth print in South Africa has actually shrunk over the years. And I mean, we even saw that in the last print for the fourth quarter of 2023.
Yes, so we did see the sector shrinking, and I think that was expected because we saw a general trend in downward trend in prices for key commodities such as grains, which plays a huge role in our ag commodity economy. But I think in general we are positive for grains specifically. It does seem like the El Nino event that we're experiencing at the moment have peaked. So hopefully for the next season, returning to a normal or even a La Nina event that could support the industry. And then, as I've mentioned, we've really seen a problem-solving mindset from industries around the logistical issues that they have been facing. And so that makes us really positive. And then I think an obvious supporting factor is also the rand and the weak levels that it's currently been trading at. It serves as a huge supporting factor for our exporting sector, of which our livestock sector are also increasingly starting to play in the global market.
All right. Well, thank you so much for those insights, Marlene. I appreciate the time. That was Marlene Louw, Senior Economist at Absa AgriBusiness.